Let's do a quick comparison of the LG Stylo 6 versus the LG K92. These are two very good devices. They're available and heavily subsidized on prepaid, so you can get the Stylo 6 for free, and you can get the LG K92 for as low as $99. The LG Stylo 6 obviously has a stylus, that's its selling point, and the LG K92 5G, that's what makes it special. It's a 5G phone. So let's go ahead and compare these phones. So both of these phones have a plastic build feel to them. They don't have glass on the back, but they do feel very, very premium. The screens and the size are very similar on both of these devices. The LG Stylo 6 has a 6.8-inch LCD Full HD screen. The K92 has a 6.7-inch LCD Full HD screen, so screens are very, very similar. One thing that really stands out on both of these devices is the network connectivity. Like I said, the LG Stylo 6 is a 4G LTE phone, which is okay, it's fine. I could still rock with 4G LTE even in 2021. While the LG K92, it's a 5G phone, so if you happen to be in a 5G coverage area, then this is definitely going to get you faster download and upload speeds. Next is the processor. The LG Stylo 6 has a MediaTek Helio P35 processor, while the K92 has a Snapdragon 695G processor. So that's a big difference right there, is the LG Stylo 6 has a not very well known budget processor from MediaTek, while the LG K92 has a more well-known Snapdragon 690. Both of these processors will give you good performance on day-to-day apps and everyday activities. Most people will not know the difference between these processors and the top-end Snapdragons of the world. So both of these phones will perform very well with their processors. Next is going to be the RAM. The LG Stylo 6 has 3 gigs of RAM, while the K92 has 6 gigs of RAM. And to be frank, you're not going to see much difference in RAM either. For most people that are shopping prepaid phones at this price point, 3 gigs is more than enough for that price of 0 for the LG Stylo 6 if you pour it in, and 6 gigs of RAM will be sufficient for a 5G phone at $99. Now, if you're going to be using tons and tons of apps, you're going to have to roll with the LG K92, but by no means will most people even know the difference of the RAM that these phones have. Storage also are pretty good, but there are differences. The Stylo 6 has 64 gigs of internal storage. LG K92 has 128 gigs. So the K92 has double the storage of the Stylo 6. But luckily, both of these have micro SD card slots, so you could add storage to the Stylo 6 very easily. For $20, you get 128 gigs SD card from Amazon, slap it in, and now you have tons of storage. But even at 64 gigs, most people would be perfectly fine with that amount, especially since most people stream everything like myself or store everything in the cloud. So both of these devices are pretty good on storage. Both of these devices use USB-C to charge, which is very convenient. It's the standard. You can use the same plug to charge a laptop, a Chromebook, a PC, a tablet, a MacBook, other phones, you name it. These are very versatile plugs. And when you plug in the phones to charge, they are going to be powering the same amount of battery. Both of these have a 4,000 milliamp battery, which is pretty substantial for the Stylo 6. Lasts you all day. But I don't think that LG K92 would last so much because 5G does drain the battery a lot. And in the early stages of 5G, you might want to turn that 5G signal off because it does drain a lot of battery. So I'm afraid that the Stylo 6 will have better battery life than the 5G more expensive counterpart. Next on the cameras, we have the Stylo 6 with 3 camera setup. We have a 13 megapixel main camera, 5 megapixel ultra wide, 5 megapixel depth camera, shoots at 1080p video. K92 has a 64 megapixel main camera, 5 ultra wide, 2 macro, and 2 megapixel depth camera, and you can shoot up to 4K. The selfie on the Stylo 6 is a 13 megapixel shooter that can shoot up to 1080p video. Selfie on the K92 is 16 megapixel at shooting at 1080p video. So both of these have pretty decent cameras. By no means do either of these compete with the big boys like the Galaxy S21s or the iPhone 12 Pros. You're not gonna find any flagship videos or flagship pictures here, but these are gonna be more than enough to please most people shooting video casually and uploading them to social media or sending it to your friends in a message. So you should have some good luck using these cameras and not be disappointed. When it comes to unlocking the devices, they both have fingerprint readers, but the Stylo 6 has the classic in the back rear fingerprint reader, while the K92 has a side mounted fingerprint reader. So it's pretty much your preference. The one difference I see is that the K92 can be unlocked while it's sitting on a table instead of lifting the whole phone up on the Stylo 6. For the availability, both of these phones can be found very easily on prepaid carriers such as Cricket and Metro. These are found at very low price points, especially when you have a port-in deal or something. So the Stylo 6 is free when you port in sometimes, and the K92 I've seen as low as $99. So these are very available devices at very cheap prices. Both of these phones are made by LG, and they're very similar up to this point with all the stuff that I've talked about so far. So they're obviously going to have a very similar skin. So Android with LG skin on top. I personally like LG skin. I like the knock-on feature where you could just double tap the screen to unlock the device or to turn on the display. So that's pretty cool. So now that we got the specs out of the way, let's talk about what really matters in plain English. Do these phones work for most people? And I would say definitely yes. I'm by no means a power user, but I do use a lot of everyday apps like Netflix, Hulu, Disney, YouTube, music streaming. I listen to podcasts on Spotify. I use Google Drive, Google Photos. I do GPS maps. Social media like Twitter, Facebook, IG, TikTok, messaging with WhatsApp and Telegrams. I do light gaming, and I do video chats. So I can safely say that these phones can handle pretty much 99% of all apps out there. The only apps that you might find difficult on maybe the Stylo and possibly the K92 is heavy games, very graphic intensive games, or if you are really into photography and taking videos and editing videos or a content creator, you might have to look elsewhere. And one thing you should always do when you get a new cell phone, so either the Stylo 6 or the K92, you should get a pair of Bluetooth headphones. You should get a smartwatch or a smartband to notify you for notifications or to give you fitness stats. If you're into gaming, you should definitely pick up an Xbox game controller. These phones will work in tandem with your Chromebook, your Mac, your PC. You can switch and send files between each other. Get a Chromecast or some type of TV streaming device so you could send media to your TV from your phone. Get some smart speakers, and definitely pick up an SD card if you plan on taking a lot of video and pictures. So to sum up the video, both of these phones are very similar. They are pretty much indistinguishable from each other, except the one big difference is that the Stylo 6 has a stylus. That's pretty much it. The K92 is a 5G phone, and that's pretty much the difference. You could argue that the Stylo 6 has less storage at 64 gigs, but you could easily remedy that by adding a micro SD card. So other than that, I'd like to thank you guys for seeing this video, and I'll see you in the next one.